This is a mock interview conducted by ForumIAS Academy at New Delhi. The interview panel includes eminent academicians, retired bureaucrats, and other luminaries. The objective of the program is to acquaint the candidate with the format and expectations of the personality test conducted by UPSC.
May I come in, ma'am?
Please come in.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Please sit down. Please sit down. Come.
Thank you.
What is your first name?
Ma'am, my first name is Shrikrushna.
Shrikrishna. And what is the first? Sushir. What is Sushir?
This is my surname, ma'am.
S-U-S-H-I-R?
Yes, ma'am.
What does that stand for?
Ma'am, in Marathi, it is a combination of two words. Su means good and Shir means head. It translates that those who have...
Oh, I've never heard that name. And Shishir or Sushil are there, but they're first names. All right. So you are multitude of deities, huh?
Yes.
So do you have a preference of Sri Krishna over Sri Ram, or you rate both equal, or you rate Sri Ram? Who is your preferred deity and why?
Ma'am, as far as my personal opinion is concerned, both are historical and mythological gods.
But you have to choose.
Yes. Ma'am, if I had to choose between one from the both, I will certainly go with Krishna because of his role, because of his strategic thinking as well as the diplomatic communication which he brings, which can help me in my administration also, ma'am.
And well, you were talking about the present day. Yes. What were you saying about the status of women here? Challenges in India today? You're saying one about rape, that security is low. What else? Safety?
Safety is one issue. Second, ma'am, is employment. The female labor force participation rate is very low. It is around 23%. At the same time, ma'am, skill-wise, most of the women are lacking in skills. There is feminization of agriculture.
What is the glass ceiling?
Ma'am, glass ceiling is a sociological phenomenon in which women are not preferred in managerial or topmost post in that.
Very good, very good. Now I want to come to the actual burden of my questions. I find from your DAF, it's very interesting. You are going down the ladder. You started Pune Municipal Corporation, then you went to Sub-District Hospital, then you went to a PHC. Why this?
Ma'am, initially, I did my internship from Pune and there was job vacancy available in Pune Municipal Corporation.
So you've just followed wherever the job vacancy was?
No, ma'am. Actually, my first job, there was COVID and Pune Municipal Corporation was having dedicated COVID hospital. So I worked in that. But after that, ma'am, I tried to have varied experience from secondary as well as primary aspect of healthcare.
Okay, very good. So you've done it all. Now I want to ask you a question and think before you reply. What would be, and think, prioritize and say in priority. What would be your, if you were health, as Secretary Health, what would be your three priorities? As Secretary Medical, what would be your three priorities? You know the distinction between the two of them.
Ma'am, can you please repeat the question?
You are Secretary Health and Medical. Medical and health goes together. But the two things are totally different domains. So as Secretary Health, what would be your topmost three priorities? In other words, what ails the system? How would you like to fix it? Topmost three. And what would be your topmost three priorities as Secretary Medical?
Okay. Ma'am, first of all, regarding the Health Secretary...
Just give one sentence on each of them. Huh?
First, ma'am, I would like to increase the budget, which is currently at 2%. I would like to increase it to 4 to 5%. Secondly, ma'am, the bed to population ratio in India is currently at 0.5 per 1,000 population. According to WHO, it has to be increased to 3 to 1,000. And
this is as health or as a medical? Which one are you talking about?
Health, ma'am.
Achha, bed to population is health. All right.
And thirdly, ma'am, I can say that at the grassroots level, if we can take care of the A3, Asha Anganwadi workers and ANMs, which they can take a majority of the burden from the secondary and tertiary hospitals.
How can Ashas and ANMs take the burden from tertiary? Will they start doing dialysis? Will they start doing kidney transplants?
Ma'am, currently we are focusing more on the treatment aspect, but if we can strengthen our preventive aspect.
You never said that so far. You have not said that. You're talking about burden from tertiary. Tertiary is not preventive. Tertiary is treatment totally, right? That's why I asked you health and medical separately. Okay, chaliye. This is your Asha, ANMs, etc. This is all your health. Now tell me medical.
Regarding the medical, ma'am, I can say that medical education needs to be fixed first of all. In that,
What is that? Be specific.
Yes. In that, majority of the
Which category?
allopathic medicines,
No, which category of providers?
doctors, ma'am.
Achha. Okay. What do you want to do in that? Fixing how?
Ma'am, there are many new medical colleges coming up, but they do not have that much patient flow.
So quality of
Yes,
doctors.
quality
All right.
has to
What
be
else?
increased.
What else?
Secondly, ma'am, the ethical conduct of doctors. So ethical subject has to be introduced, medical ethics.
Okay.
And thirdly, I can say, ma'am, that there has to be mandatory rural posting for all the doctors from government as well as the private hospital sector.
That would be a secretary health, not as medical. There's a distinction. We'll discuss it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I don't know whether I should ask those questions. I had a lot of questions on that. I'll ask you at least two, but we'll have quick replies because you're a doctor, so you need to know these. How do you improve the quality of medicines in India? And give me just 2-3 sentences. Think, prioritize, and tell me. You should know what's wrong.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, ma'am, we need to boost our API manufacturing. Currently, we are importing around 70% from China. So,
How will we boost it?
through the schemes like performance link incentive schemes,
What is the issue? What is the key issue in APIs?
ma'am, the issue dates back to the liberalization of the Indian economy.
One doctor who said this at least. Okay, let's hope you got the point. Yeah, what else? What happened?
Prior to liberalization, there were around 10,000 API manufacturing units in India.
So what happened?
Yes, but after the liberalization, we got cheap imports from China regarding the APIs, and that's why our domestic manufacturing got hit.
It was not really APIs, it was basic chemicals. All right, fair enough. The raw material. Then what else?
Secondly, ma'am, I would like to have stricter regulation, like the doctors are prescribing branded medicines instead of generic drugs. So there has to be stricter regulation. And
If you remember, my question was quality. My question was, how do you improve the quality of medicines in India? So one, you said API locally. Second, you said prescription drugs. All right, prescription branded. What else?
third, I can say that, ma'am, there has to be robust infrastructure for clinical trials, preclinical as well as clinical trials, so that we can develop.
What should be added? It's not there just now. What do you need to be added? What is the problem in clinical trials?
Ma'am, many a times we follow the clinical trials from the foreign countries. Our Indian clinical
What is missing in it? Tell me what is missing.
We need to focus on more of sample size of Indian population for conducting research and
Why
development.
can't we do it?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the bottleneck?
Ma'am, our research and development spending is very much less. It is around 0.5% of the GDP.
Companies are there with huge, pharma companies have the biggest pockets, deepest pockets. When the electoral bonds come, you will see where the money is coming from. So why can't they spend on research?
Yes, ma'am. Our finance minister also nudged private sector to invest.
Warren Buffett had come, he soundly trolloped all our private sector saying you don't contribute at all in CSR. But okay, we'll discuss.
Yes, ma'am.
How has the government promoted the generic industry in India? And give me just 2 or 3 sentences, 2 or 3 points, that's all, not much.
Ma'am, government come up with flagship scheme like PM Bharatiya Janaushadhi Pariyojana. It has set up
Nothing. There's not done nothing for generics. What else? What is the key thing? What is it that the generics want?
There has to be qualitatively equivalent to the branded drugs.
Okay, we'll discuss. There's a lot to discuss there. My last question to you.
Surely, ma'am.
Let it be. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sushir, right?
Yes, sir.
So you are from BULDHANA.
Yes, sir.
What is famous for BULDHANA? Is famous for?
Sir, BULDHANA is famous for the Lonar Lake, Lonar Sarovar.
Okay.
It is a crater formed by the comet, impact of the comet on the land. Apart from that, BULDHANA is also famous for tourist destinations, like it is a birthplace of Jizavu Mata, Sindhkhed Raja, who was the mother of Shivaji Maharaj. At the same time, there is SHGs, which is the abode of Sant Gajanan Maharaj. It is called as Pandharpur of the East, sir.
Okay, coming to, right, like you have mentioned this Maharaja Chhatrapati Shivaji. So every Marathi is emotionally connected with Shivaji, right? So there is a feeling of this Maratha regionalism also, especially in Maratha politics. Since you have a background of this anthropology, how do you define such behaviors in the Maharashtra state politics?
Sir, anthropologically, if we look at Maratha community forms a dominant caste in Maharashtra. They are politically sound, they have political representation, but at the same time, socially and economically, there are apprehensions that they are backward, and for that they are demanding reservation. And the government has constituted a state backward commission for having empirical data on their socio-economic backwardness. And after that data, they have come to conclusion that they should be given 10% quota through SEBC.
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about Maratha politics here, Maratha community politics. I'm talking in general the regional parties in Maharashtra, which excessively talk about Maratha regionalism. Starting from Shiva Sena to national NCP. So how do you see them from the anthropological angle?
Sir, their demand for their assertion for Maratha identity is because they want to create social solidarity among themselves. As regional parties, they can fructify that social identity for vote-based politics, and at the same time, they are promoting policies like son of soil policy to appease the backward sections of Maratha community so that they can be their vote bank.
So only from vote bank, they have not worked for them.
Sir, they are working, but the issues.
So what contribution they have made so far?
Sir, we can say that the regional parties, currently we also have regional party government in Maharashtra, and they are creating policies so that Maharashtra can be developed as a equitable. Currently there is regional imbalance in Maharashtra, but they are promoting policies for the Vidarbha as well as Marathwada region to have equitable development of all the Maharashtrian peoples.
Okay, coming to this regional parties and national parties debate, what is the definition of the national party?
Sir, I am not very sure, but can I make a guess? Sir, as far as I can remember, a national party should have presence in 4 or more states. It should have 6% of the votes polled in the last Lok Sabha. These are
okay. So in Maharashtra, what are the regional parties and what are the national parties?
Sir, regarding national parties, BJP is national party. Then there is Congress. Then there is NCP, and Shiv Sena is also a national party.
Then what are the practical solutions? How to stop this dynasty politics in this country?
Sir, we need to make a mandatory law for the political parties to have their constitution set.
That is there, no? You know, right? RPA, Representation of the People Act.
Yes, sir.
So they have so many provisions.
Yes.
But they're not being implemented, right?
Sir, implementation is lacking, sir.
Then what needs to be done? We know that implementation is lacking. Then what is the solution?
So there has to be stricter implementation.
Again, you are saying the same thing. Who will do the implementation?
Sir,
that is the question, right?
Yes. So election commission should be given more power to have a check on the parties, sir.
Okay. I will ask you one last question. That you are the Test cricket enthusiast, right?
Yes, sir.
So why?
Sir, I believe that Test cricket is the real form of cricket. It tests your perseverance, ability to bounce back. If you get setback on the first day, you can bounce back, and it somewhat relates to the life also, sir. If we fail in the exam, we can again came and bounce back. So that's why I feel that Test cricket. I love watching Test cricket for that matter, sir.
Then you should watch football. Because in football, no, there will be more options that will be given to the player.
Sir?
Why in India the football is not flourishing?
Sir, for that we have to look at from the historical, like India had one of the greats of the cricket. Like we have Sunil Gavaskar, generational greats. We have Sunil Gavaskar, then we had Sachin Tendulkar, now we have Virat Kohli. So the youngsters are inclined towards that. Secondly, sir, India had won significant tournaments. Like we had a 1983 World Cup, then we had 2011 World Cup.
That is the reason, only history, nothing else.
At the same time, sir, funds wise also, BCCI is the strongest body, cricketing body in the world, and Football Federation is not that much getting funds. So the advertisement and promotion wise also, cricket is more prosperous than football.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Shri Krishna?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. What is your idea of Bharat?
Ma'am, for me, Bharat is a country, Bharat is a continent, Bharat is a country where the people of all different religions live happily, and they are like a salad bowl which are friendly with each other and looking forward for the development of the community as a whole, ma'am.
Okay. And you mentioned Jijabai was born in your district,
Yes, ma'am.
Buldhana.
Yes, ma'am.
So why is she famous in history? Jijabai.
Ma'am, she was the first who instilled in Marathi we call Balkadu, the birth Balkadu, which in Shivaji Maharaj for the Swarajya. She taught him all the military as well as strategies, and that had led him to establish Swarajya for the Hindu kingdom.
Okay. And so what do you understand by women empowerment? Jijabai is an example of an empowered woman. What is your understanding?
So, ma'am, for me, women empowerment means that woman has autonomy. That autonomy has to be in the social as well as economic, as well as reproductive, and the psychological autonomy has to be there for women. Then only we can say that woman is empowered.
Okay. And if you were to get selected, you were the DM, what were the 3 measures you would take for women empowerment?
Ma'am, first of all, there has to be tap water at the source for women. If we can take care of that, then she can have extra spare time which she can invest on her skill development, and that can increase her participation in the economy. Secondly, ma'am, education wise, there is lack of the primary education in the rural sector, and in the higher education also, STEM fields are not that much covered by the women. Thirdly, ma'am, I would like to promote self-help groups in my district, and that self-help groups can in turn bring economic independence to the women, and that would lead to their.
What are self-help groups?
Self-help groups are the small groups of 20 to 30 women which come together to have a collective goal, and based on they also can get credit for their small entrepreneurial activities on their collective will to pay back the loan.
How are they different from cooperatives?
Ma'am, cooperatives is a broad term. In cooperatives there are voting. One member is equal to one vote, and it has organizational structure as well, which has periodic elections, and it is more formalized than the SHG.
Maharashtra is also known for the cooperative movement.
Yes,
any reason why it has been particularly successful in Maharashtra?
Yes. Ma'am, there are multiple reasons, and first I would like to say that there were leaders who promoted it. Like in it started in the Ahmednagar district, where V.K. Patil was the pioneer in cooperatives.
Okay.
Secondly, ma'am, most of the Maharashtra is agri-dominated, and most of the farmers were had small and marginal land holding. So they had they found opportunity in cooperatives to get together and form entrepreneurial activities. And thirdly, ma'am, the agri-allied activities and farm produce through cotton markets as well as sugar mills and dairy sectors, they got boosted because of their collective.
Okay, okay. We were also discussing electoral reforms.
Yes.
Yes. Can you suggest some electoral reforms at Panchayati Raj level?
Ma'am, in my village also I have seen that Panchayati Raj, we have given reservation to women, but there is concept of Sarpanchapati. We have to first abolish that concept. We have to practically give empower the women in the political arena.
See, when you say abolish the concept, it is something which is not statutory. How do you abolish it?
Yes, ma'am. I am saying that it is a practice, ma'am.
So, how do we abolish it?
We had to.
What steps will you take?
Sorry, ma'am.
What steps can be taken to abolish it? That's the question.
Ma'am, the root cause is patriarchy, and for that, ma'am, we need to give training to women so that they can feel confident to lead in the political arena. Secondly, ma'am, if we can reduce their domestic burden, then only they can take part in the political discussions, Gram Sabha. And thirdly, there has to be literacy amongst the women so that they can lead the peoples there.
Okay, okay. Buldhana is also part of Vidarbha.
Yes, ma'am.
So, what are the agricultural problems? Why is Vidarbha in news?
Ma'am, Vidarbha is in news for farmer suicides, and it is because of the agricultural distress. And mainly, most of the Vidarbha is rain-fed, and that's why it is monsoon dependent, and that leads to agricultural distress. And
what measures are being taken?
Currently, the government has come up with schemes like, along with PM Kisan, they are giving additional 6,000 to the farmers as DBT in the short run. They are also announced loan waivers, but in the long run, they have come up with schemes like one district, one product to to give fillip to the farmers' income. At the same time, agri-allied activities, they are giving subsidized credit for allied activities like poultry culture, poultry, horticulture, etc. And climate resilient agriculture. The millet crop has been promoted in the Vidarbha.
Can we have horticulture in Vidarbha? Horticulture needs cooler climate.
Ma'am, climate-wise, like if we compare Eastern Vidarbha, then we can have horticulture in the Eastern region.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So Shriram is known as Maryada Purushottam.
Yes, sir.
What does this term mean? If you have to, say some person and today, what qualities do we need to become Maryada Purushottam in today's perspective?
Sir, Maryada Purushottam means one who upholds the duty over his self. So that is the first and utmost important quality. Secondly, I can say that the person has to be a moral and ethical integrity. And thirdly, I can say that, sir, the character of the person has to be utmost important rather than other things.
Why don't you see a gender discrimination in this? Because there is a god who is known as Maryada Purushottam, but there is no women who can be said Nari Uttam or something like that. Can you recall some name of a woman who has been termed as, like, great ladies are there, but this kind of title has never been conferred onto her? Why is it so?
Sir, I am not very sure about. I haven't thought about it. I will think.
Okay. Sri Krishna is also known as Yogeshwar. Are you aware? Why is known as Yogeshwar?
No, sir. I don't know.
No problem. All right. Okay. So in Maharashtra, there is a place, Daimabad.
Yes.
Why Daimabad is famous?
Sir, Daimabad is an Indus Valley civilization.
Okay. And what has been obtained from there?
Sir, there are Middle Paleolithic as well as Mesolithic structures found from the Daimabad region. It is called as the Daimabad and Zorwe culture, which is famous. We got pottery from there.
Okay. Can you tell me some of the fossil sites in India?
Sir, in the northwestern region, we have the Potwar Plateau and the Hind Kush. We have found Ramapithecus and Sivapithecus fossils there. In the Hoshangabad in Madhya Pradesh, we have found Homo narmadensis fossils.
And?
Sir, at this time, these are the two I can remember.
All right. So you are a doctor, right? You are practicing a doctor, right? What is your perspective about the menstrual leaves?
Sir, menstrual leaves has to be there. The women face a lot of challenges during menstrual period, and if we can give them leaves, then that will help them to recharge themselves and come back to their full potential when they are back on the jobs.
Which other states are having provision for menstrual leaves in India?
Sir, as far as I remember, it is Bihar.
Okay. How many days?
I think it is 2 days.
2 days. Why 2 days only?
I'm not very sure about the reasons.
Okay, why not 7 days or 8 days? Okay, just look into it. Okay, suppose you have to prevent the private practice of the doctors. What steps will you take?
Sir, to prevent private practice?
Yes. In government hospitals, most of the time we see that doctors are absent from the workplace just because they are doing practice in a private manner.
Yes, sir.
So what steps will you take as an administrator?
Sir, first of all, we have to bring a law for mandatory. If a doctor is working in government sector, then there has to be ban on the private practice. Secondly, sir, the doctors work in the private sector because they are, compared to private sector, they get lower salaries in the government setup. So their salaries has to be hiked. And thirdly, sir,
Do you also think in the same manner, like they are being, they are lesser paid or they are having lesser salary in comparison to private sector? In private hospitals, what is the average salary? Do you know?
Sir, for an MBBS doctor, the private sector gives around, based on his experience, they give around, it varies between 80,000 to 1 lakh.
80,000 to?
1 lakh.
In which hospital you have done your survey?
Sir, in Maharashtra, for MBBS doctor.
You know, which hospital?
Sir, there are local hospitals at the taluka and district levels.
Okay, so they are paying this much.
Yes, sir.
In the bigger hospitals, Fortis or Max or Apollo, have you ever asked any doctor who is working there what is the average salary over there?
Sir, as far as I can remember, it is around 60,000 to 80,000. Yes.
Okay. And how much you are getting right now as a medical officer?
It is 75,000, sir.
75,000. So is it less salary? And you are, you are availing other facilities also along with this?
No, sir. Currently, I have joined as a temporary medical officer.
Okay.
So I have a fixed payment of 75,000. Apart from that, any service conditions.
And what about residence and all? You are getting residence?
No, sir.
No. Other medical officers who are permanent, they are getting?
Sir, it depends. If they are getting permanent, if they are getting residence, then their HRA is.
All right, all right. Thank you. This is all from my side.